Hi everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight, the horror movie podcast here in the Mild Fuzz Podcast Network. I'm Peter Bradley, and class is in session because the Professor, Timmy V, is here.
Hello, Peter. It's a pleasure to be here.
Still working on that catchphrase, I see. Alright, well, this is the horror movie show here in Mild Fuzz, and every week we talk about horror movies from the past and the present.
And the present, you got it.
Thank you, Tim. And we've been on a bit of a roll recently. We've got all these new to newish films to talk about because there's been quite a nice little string of releases, and a lot of them have went straight to video on demand, which has made our lives incredibly easy.
Let me tell you, every day I wake up and I feel like a little boy in pajamas on Christmas morning. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Just what a time to be alive.
So this week we're going to talk about Darling, which is a film which is listed as a 2015 release, although I think that's just festivals. I think it's 2016 before it get any sort of main public.
Not to be confused with Darlene, which is my mother's name.
Very good. Darlene Vargulish.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a name.
Thank you.
But Darlene, directed by... No, not Darlene. You see, you put a name in my head now, Tim. I would never have said that until you brought up the name Darlene. Darling is directed by Mickey Keating, and it is a very low-budget film. It's shot in black and white, and interestingly also in 1.66 to 1, or at least something close to that.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Basically, Tim, on your widescreen TV, there was little black bars at the sides.
I watch this on a computer.
It doesn't matter. There was still been little black bars at the sides.
Okay.
Oh god, Timmy. The point is, it's a very old school ratio. It typically was used in European films for a long time. Between, like, say,
until we had to come over there and save your butts in WW2 and give you good American ratios to work with.
Actually, no, it was after that. Before that, everyone used the Academy ratio, and then it went to widescreens, and America went to 185 and 235 or 240, depending on how you want to put it, and Europe went to 166, and then it kind of died out in the 80s, I'd say, something like that.
Well, I mean, far be it for me to question the Academy.
Trying to explain aspect ratios to Timmy's one of my both favourite and frustrating pastimes. So it's a unique little film is what I'm saying. It's got a very distinct style. It's going for a look. You know, it's very stands out in a 2016 release schedule as something that looks and sounds a bit different. Mm-hmm. And it's a movie about a young woman who is simply credited as Darling. I don't think we ever actually hear her name.
No.
And she is taking a job as a caretaker to this... I think it's just a house, but it's a big house.
I wasn't sure if it was a house or like a hotel at first, but I'm pretty sure it's just a house.
Yeah, just a sort of tall, like New York, like expensive...
Probably uptown, kind of ritzy place.
Yeah, so there's like 4 floors to the damn thing, so it's, you know, expensive, but...
Yeah.
And she slowly... But, well, I mean, my cat's just jumped over my... The cat jumped over the monitor and my camera's moved now. There you go. Sorry about that, folks. The audio listeners don't care.
I think you're trying to put in like special effects. It's not like...
No, that was just my cat rampaging. And so the film's about her losing her mind, essentially. And that's all I'll say here.
About that, but
that's all I'll
we'll
say
get
just
to
now.
that later.
We'll keep this spoiler free for the first little bit. I like to try and do that now, just in case, because people might watch this on YouTube or put on the podcast and listen to the first bit to see if it's worth.
Some people
out.
might even listen to it in the bathtub.
I actually think the best way to hear our voices, Tim, is in the bathtub.
Bubble bath.
Is this a new thing now with you? You're just going to stutter out the first letter of the odd word?
Yeah, it usually gives me time to think of what the rest of the word's gonna be.
Sound advice from the professor there.
Literally.
So, Tim,
Yes.
just in a word, did you like Darling?
I'm really this is interesting. I'm really really split on this. I'm
Hmm.
cuz I feel like I really wanted to like it more than I did. Actually I really really like the trailer. The trailer got me really excited for it, and I think this movie is completely style over substance. So I did like the style that I think they were trying to do, but at the end of the day, there just wasn't really enough story there for me.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I don't know. Like I like the kind of like the style, the tone, um, just the way it looked and was shot, but I don't know. It left me with a lot of questions. I was a little angry about some things. I guess that's the best way I can explain it, though.
I want to point out that when I asked you that question, Tim, I said in a word, did you like this movie? And you spent about 30 seconds.
Well, what kind of? I can't think of one word that would be able to answer that
You could
question.
have said kinda. Kinda would have covered that. I
Well,
wanted just a sense. I just wanted a sense, because then I wanted to then say my word and then see if
okay.
they lined up.
See, well, Pete, this is why I'm the professor. See, I'm giving you these like, I'm like a textbook here. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna give me like a third grade essay, which is good. You'll get a little gold star. But when people want a thesis, when they want to, they want the master, you know, that's why they come to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this will be an interesting episode then, because I fucking loved this movie.
Why am I not surprised?
Fucking loved it.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would.
I Now, don't get me wrong. You are right in saying it is very much style rather than substance, but I think sometimes in certain, especially with horror movies, sometimes style is the substance. If that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah, I
But
can
well,
see where you come from.
and what I mean by that is the plot in this is actually quite simple. And I'm going to stay away from the plot in this spoiler-free section, but I'll not compare it, but I'll use another movie like take something like Halloween, right?
The
Which most
film
people
or the holiday?
the film,
Okay,
which most people would agree is a fantastic movie. Certainly horror fans would
yeah,
typically agree with that.
definitely.
I also think there's a lot of substance there in the story in Halloween. It's pretty basic. It's just,
Yeah.
killer comes back to town, chops up some babysitters, girl goes on the run, and that's the movie. That's the whole thing. What
Okay.
makes Halloween great and what gives it the substance is how suspenseful everything is and how it's all shot and told. And I think that's true for a lot of horror movies. Now, don't get me wrong, you get some that are really inventive with the plot and what they do and all that. But I think a lot of horror movies and a lot of good ones are more about how it's told,
Yeah.
and
I
I think that's the case here. For me,
okay.
the way this movie was shot and told, and the way the director plays with the pacing of the
Mhm.
editing. The way it'll be like lots of long drawn out takes, which I love. I
Yeah.
see, especially in a horror movie, if you can do it in longer takes instead of short ones, I'm instantly more on your side and willing to give you a chance with anything you're doing on that screen.
Yeah.
And I think the way it plays with sound as well, it'll be really quiet or it'll be one type of music and then it'll drastically change to another type of music, just to make
Yeah. I li-
unsettle you. And there's lots of quick cuts to like Darlene just like staring at the camera, and it right away it put me in this really offbeat tone, this really offbeat world where it felt like, okay, that I'm in a horror world right now. I'm not in real life. I'm in a sick, demented version of real life
yeah.
where there is no color, and literally because it's black and white. But you know,
Yeah.
um, but no,
No, I definitely agree with that. I think some of my issues and stuff coming from it, and if we still use your example of like Halloween, because I agree with what you said about that. I feel like maybe the difference with this movie though is like you know I was never really confused about what was going on in Halloween. Like I know who the characters are,
Yeah,
um
yeah.
and we'll get more into that in when we talk about the when we get into spoilers and stuff. Um, I'll go into kind of more
Yeah, I
detail
mean,
about some of the problems, but
don't get me wrong. Yeah, this is very much more art house, and it's very
yeah.
more. It's a bit more abstract, and it wants to sort of keep you guessing and trying to like figure out what's going on.
And the thing is, like, I actually do. It probably sounds like I don't, but I actually do like when they do leave some of it to your imagination, and not everything is just kind of like you know thrown up on on the screen for you. Like,
Before you continue what you're about to say, I do want to say one thing. I do agree. There's one particular thing that I think should have had more of an explanation, or
yeah,
not even an explanation. There's one thing that they didn't quite show that I think they should have shown.
yeah,
And you probably know exactly what I'm talking
yeah,
about,
yeah. I'm pretty sure I do.
and we'll get to that
Um,
in spoilers. But
yeah.
I do agree with that. If I have one complaint about the movie, honestly, that'd be my one complaint.
And the thing is, like, I think there has to be a balance, or at least for me and my taste and what I like, where I do like when not everything is explained. Sometimes it is a little open ended or left to your imagination, but at the same time, I feel like they have to give you enough nuggets to kind of, come to some type of conclusion, or, maybe to kind of lead you to who what they want you to think. And this I feel like didn't really have that. I feel like instead of being like all right, this is what's going on, and we'll kind of like do this and that to kind of give you an idea of what's happening. I feel like it was just very much you know like almost it almost felt like a middle finger to the audience, like like, fuck you, we're not even gonna try like to explain it, like, just you come to your own conclusion. But again, it's a little hard to I
I
guess.
think that's a bit harsh. It was a middle
Yeah.
finger at the audience. I, I feel like the movie. Other than the one thing that I mentioned, and we'll go into that in spoilers,
Yeah.
I feel like the movie is purposely playing with the idea that is this the house? Because I mean, even the trailer mentions that the house might be haunted, and
Yeah.
is it playing with that? Is that's what's causing this? Is Darling just a psychopath?
Yeah.
Did something happen in the past? Did it not?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of playing with all those ideas, and I think the way the movie's shot and edited kind of plays with where her mind is, or the schizophrenic nature to her mind,
Yeah.
and how she's coping with things. And I think there's maybe some clues as to whether it's one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's also possible that I just might have not picked up on them as much as maybe it was intended. So that could certainly be out there. I'm making complaints when I just wasn't able to decipher it as well as I should have. But again, though, just to kind of reiterate, like um, you know that maybe might not even be the most important thing. Again, the what really stands out is just the way it looks and was filmed and stuff, and that was top notch. That I
Oh
really
yeah,
enjoyed.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
There's several shots in this movie that you could like print out and put in the wall. You know,
Oh yeah.
it is very much one of those movies where a lot of the stuff is just kind of beautiful, and it's haunting is a very good word
Yeah.
to
It's very apt. Yeah.
to describe it. Um,
And
so
the actress, the girl that plays Darling, I really liked as well. She's really creepy, and she had like huge eyes.
they played
Uh,
with those huge eyes.
yeah.
So a lot of those huge eyes staring right at the camera, which is
Yeah.
very unsettling.
And it's like as the movie goes on, and like you kind of she gets like a little weirder, or at least you're supposed to think maybe something's going on, it kind of it gets more and more effective.
Yeah, she's quite interesting throughout the movie actually because her acting's very off kilter. But
Yeah,
again, that's very intentional. It's kind of like she's always kind of weird, but then there's times when
mm.
she's just flat out like bizarre. It's like those scenes when she in the rare occasion she is talking to someone, she feels really socially awkward.
Yeah.
I,
That's kind of that's actually a good point. I didn't really think about that much, but there's like um some stuff that you could use or maybe say were complaints about this, but then once it's over and you kind of look back on it, you could also see them as being kind of like intentional. Um, like you said, like things feeling disjointed or her feeling like a little weird when you kind of take a step back and look at the story overall and like, oh well, yeah, that's probably intended to be that way.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it plays to what her mindset is and what she's going through,
Yeah,
whilst also like because when she talks to people, it does feel very uncomfortable. And again, it feels and that certainly feels intended. Like when she's talking to the guy in the middle
yeah.
of the movie, like everything about it feels really uncomfortable,
Oh yeah,
um, and it works really well in that sense. But I think we'll wrap up the spoiler free section. 'Cause I think we need to start getting into some details.
yeah,
So I would recommend this if you like. I would compare it to. It's definitely a homage to Repulsion, which is a Roman Polanski film from the 60s.
oh, okay.
Also black and white, also about a woman kind of going nuts over the course of the
Yeah.
film. I thought I'd recommend that as well, actually, but I would recommend this. It's definitely not a mainstream movie. It's a bit more art house, but if that's intriguing, if you love good visuals, interest in editing and stuff like that, I would recommend it. And also, it's like 75 minutes long,
Yeah.
so it's not a big time sink. You can not be too mad even if you don't like it that you've wasted that much time.
Yeah, you can watch it and still have enough time to get a tug in before bed.
They should put that in the Blu-ray cover. They should put that in the Blu-ray cover. Oh, all right. So
I
let's
will
go.
say I
Oh,
would also recommend it, even though I'm a little more harsher towards it. I still was glad that I enjoyed it. Like I didn't, uh, it more left me with questions, and that's what kind of bothered me, as opposed to it just left
hmm.
me feeling like angrier that I wasted my time and money. I definitely didn't feel that, so it is definitely worth a watch.
But to be fair, it's left you with questions that you want to know the answers at least.
That's true. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
It's not like it's left you with questions like, oh god, it didn't make any sense. I don't care. Like it's
Right.
like
No.
you want to know the answers,
Yeah.
so you cared, which is
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm trying to think of something like that I hated recent. Probably the most recent thing was like the forest. Like that, I hated, and
it
after
made
I
no
was done,
sense. But it
yeah,
wasn't like, oh, I want to understand why. It was like, no, it was just terrible. It was shoddy and horribly
yeah.
written. So
So
go away.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go into spoilers now. So stick around if you don't care about spoilers or you've seen the movie. Um, Otherwise, go see the movie and come back. So
yeah.
yeah, I, I really like everything about whenever it's like sort of showed a bit of plot, right? Which
Uh-huh.
sounds like a weird thing to say, but it is kind of that movie where when it first goes into it, there's a lot of her just exploring the house. And by the way, I
Yeah,
loved see the door at the end of the hall. I
yeah.
loved how that was shot every time, and I loved they'd obviously either really specifically look for this or just built this hall
Yeah.
because they built the walls so far in close to the door. It's really
Oh yeah.
unnatural and uneasy.
It looks like really tight and
Yeah,
narrow. It's
claustrophobic. It's
yeah,
like it's designed to feel creepy,
yeah.
and I really like that. And even the door itself is like built on an angle, like
Oh,
compared to
okay.
the frame, because there was light coming through the bottom that was like a triangle almost.
I didn't notice it, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was like you got the frames just normal, but the door itself like, on the hinges is just like slightly tilted. It
Oh,
was
interesting.
that was something I noticed as well. I'll talk about a lot about this door, but a lot of
The
thought
door's
went,
important.
a
Like
lot of thought
it's
went into this door,
yeah.
so it looked good, and immediately it's a moment of intrigue for her and for us because she can't get in.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like the one place in the house that she can't explore.
yeah, which might even be a homage to something like did Rebecca have a door like that? I think Rebecca did. Hitchcock's Rebecca,
Oh, I didn't see that.
which isn't obviously that similar a film, but it's
Oh,
it's got that idea of like, oh, there's that one door you can't get in, so you're like, what the fuck is in there?
yeah.
Um, but the lady who owns the house or hires her is like, nah, don't go in there. That must remain locked.
Yeah.
And this is after like, oh yeah, by the way, the last caretaker jumped off the roof. Just FYI.
So this is what kind of confused me.
Okay.
The big, I mean, I guess the big question of the movie, and again, like you said, it's probably intentional. You're probably supposed to think about it, but like, is she insane, or is there like something in the house that's possessing her and driving her crazy?
Let's talk about it, and let's look at the evidence for both, right?
Okay.
So, in there's something in the house, demonic, because it's implied later on that there's been satanic rituals or something that's been on
Yeah.
in that room, and
She finds an upside down cross,
she finds an upside down
like that
cross.
she starts wearing.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but it has this the movie has chapter names. It comes up
Yeah.
like chapter 1, chapter 2. When it got to the final chapter, which was chapter 6, it flashed for 1 second, like one frame. 2 extra sixes appeared around the 6.
Oh, okay.
Did you not notice that?
I forget. I might I might have noticed and just not remembered. But
It was
Yeah.
a little subtle touch.
yeah,
And so there's that. There's also the voices.
yeah,
Over the course of the movie, there's a build up of like voices that you can tell she's hearing. And the only word that I ever made out of any of these voices, because they're sort of deliberately just like multiple voices, like whispering kind of thing,
yeah.
was the word kill.
Okay.
The first time I ever heard the voices, I heard the word kill quite distinctly at the start of it, and then it was just all,
Yeah.
inaudible, whispering. And so there's that. There's the voices. There's
One of the big things that got me was just the fact that the previous caretaker also killed herself.
Yeah, in the same
So-
way as well. To jump to the end of the movie, that's
Yeah.
how the movie ends. It ends with Darlene jumping off the roof. So that would suggest that this is a cyclical thing. Every time someone
Yeah.
moves in there, the thing in the house drives them insane, and then it ends with them committing. So it's like almost like it makes them commit a murder or
Yeah.
do something bad and then kill themselves, and it's like this
Or-
cycle of this demon or whatever it is.
Okay. Or one possible theory that I was thinking about was, does the house attract psychos? Like, are these people that already have it in them, and it's just something about the house that like lures them there?
Well, that's actually an interesting theory to put on top of both of the two options.
Yeah.
Because that would basically imply that they're both accurate.
Yeah. It's like option C, all of the above.
Pretty much. And that's not a bad idea, actually. That might be right. Because the other side of things is that, and again, this could all be in her head, this could all be made up, and this was
Yeah.
something that I was constantly thinking as we was going the movie, is everything she's saying, is everything she's remembering, these quick flashes of things, are these real? These memories, these quick flashes of her screaming, I think it's her screaming, with short hair.
Yeah.
And she reacts to the guy in the street, and then later on we hear dialogue of why did you do that to me, like implying that either he or him and a group of people either raped her or that was the only thing I could think of.
This
Like, the way
is-
she was speaking, it sounded like rape.
Yeah, this was another big thing that I had questions about, because I didn't know if he specifically, or this is another thing. There's a couple of options. Like, it's either, okay, this guy did something to her and doesn't remember. He didn't do anything to her and she's remembering someone else or making it up, or like someone did do that to her, but it's not that guy, but she just like sees everybody as that
Do you know,
guy.
at one point I thought that was the case, because see when she picked up the wallet and she looked at
Yeah.
the name, I almost thought she was having a moment of, wait a minute, that's not him. Shit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Or, like let's say the previous person in the house that killed themselves, like maybe that person was raped by Henry Sullivan, and like it's possessing her to go out and kill um,
Mm,
either the same person, or again, just kill a random guy that they kind of take their
that
revenge
could
on. You know what I mean? Like,
that could be right. And I like that his reaction to her accusations as she's brutally stabbing him, and we'll talk about that scene in detail
yeah,
later. Um, like his reactions are wonderfully vague. Like
yeah,
he doesn't say. I mean, he just says fuck. He says like fuck you as he's
yeah,
getting stabbed, and it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't really. That doesn't tell us if he did anything or not. He's reacting to the fact that he's getting
yeah,
stabbed. Like,
yeah,
like he could be a completely normal fine guy. Um, that said, though, him saying he's one of the good guys makes me think he's not. Like, typically when someone says I'm a good guy, they're
yeah.
probably a bad guy.
Yeah, especially because he's like, yeah, like, ask my friends. No, come on, like, we'll go, like, my friends will tell you. It's like, well, yeah, obviously your friends are gonna back you up. Like,
Mm.
it just makes me feel like you have, like, scumbag friends that are gonna, like, corroborate your
Yeah, and
story.
he even plays in that because she even like calls him up on it again as she's stabbing him.
Yeah,
What were you hoping would happen? Did you want to fuck me? Like,
yeah,
and it's like, is she just picked him as a victim, or is he the surrogate for whatever she's remembering, either from her life or someone else's life,
yeah,
or just made up visions that the demons put in her head? Like, is that what this is, or is it like?
yeah.
But it's interesting. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
So
yeah, a lot of possibilities.
so there's both of those sides, and as you say, maybe this house just attracts people who are already crazy. Because even at the
Yeah.
start of the movie, I got the impression she was already off. Like, she was already a bit off kilter. Like,
Uh,
she certainly gets more crazy as the movie gets on, but I didn't really feel like she
yeah.
was normal at the start either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really think that. I mean, looking back on it, I'm sure if I go back and watching it now, knowing, what's gonna happen, maybe I can probably see some hints of it. But I guess I didn't really think about that right off the bat. I thought maybe that she was maybe a little weird, or um, looked like maybe she had like some type of past that she was kind of trying to get away from or something.
Oh,
But
which is brought up because the and again, this ties into the idea that she was already crazy. Is that the woman on the phone when she phones out then says, "Oh, we know about
uh,
your record, about your history. We know what you did."
yeah, I really like that scene.
Hmm. Yeah, and even again, the way she talks in that scene is really weird.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and
very
specifically the line, now I'm just going to be one of your ghost stories. It's like, oh shit,
yeah.
that's pretty that's pretty damning. So no, I really like that. But yeah, so we're going to go back and talk about specifics with the killing and all that. But so, once the van outside Tim's house is done playing,
Oh, I hate that van so much. All right.
so the one complaint I had that I was alluding to earlier is that so a lot of the first two chapters of the movie are about her like being obsessed with this door, and it kind of goes away as we get to the middle of the movie and she goes out after the guy and all that.
Mhm.
And at the end of the movie, before she kills herself, she gets in the door. She opens it
Yeah.
and looks in, and she reacts by screaming. And I love that we didn't hear the scream. It was actually music we heard instead.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice touch. We don't get to see what's in the room. It never cut to a reverse shot, and we didn't get to see what it was,
Yeah.
which I do think is a problem. Although, admittedly, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of coming around to not being that bothered by it, and here's why. Because it leaves the possibility open. Because again, we're talking about what things mean and what things could be either way. So I'm thinking the obvious thing that would be in that room is evidence of a demonic ritual or something, right?
Yeah.
That's immediately what your mind goes to, and that would perhaps be, I don't know, like it would work thematically, it would work in story terms, but would it be that much of a
Satisfying.
reveal? Yeah, would it be satisfying if it was just that? So then I'm thinking, what if it's? I mean, this doesn't explain why the woman insisted it be locked, but
Yeah.
what if there's nothing? What if it's just what
That
you know?
yeah, like that was like obviously they didn't show it, but I kept expecting them to turn around and just show like a maybe just kind of like a messy room, maybe one that kind of had like a bunch of like blankets over everything, like no one's been in there in like a long time, and maybe just something like a storage room or something. Like I was really expecting it was just going to be like nothing of significance.
And the reason why I say that is because yeah, she screams, and I don't know if I can completely justify her screaming like that, but
Yeah.
maybe I can. And my possible justification would be if it is nothing, is that this is her realizing she's just fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Like there isn't a demon, there isn't something making her do this. Like she's sort of at this point thinking there is, because she says they made me do it, I think, or something to that effect on the phone.
Yeah.
This is her realizing, oh shit, I'm just crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
I could see that.
and if it's neither of those, what could it be? What could be in there that would make her scream?
Yeah. See, like I guess like my kind of complaint with it is that um, I'm not necessarily like upset that they didn't show it because you know again I think it's kind of cool when there is some like mystery or something sometimes it's like the briefcase at the end of Pulp Fiction or something.
Mm.
I think it's cool when you can kind of have like theories about it, but at the same time I just feel um like you don't have to show it, but at least like maybe have something to hint at what it possibly could be.
I
Like,
would agree that my one complaint about them not showing what's in that room is that it's such a pivotal part to the movie, like what
yeah,
the lore and the obsession of what's behind it, that I don't think they needed to show it necessarily, but I agree that there's maybe just not enough little nuggets of hints so that we
yeah,
could. I feel like our theories on what could be in that room need a little bit more evidence, and the movie should have given us that. And that's really my only complaint with the movie.
yeah, exactly. Like, and I mean, maybe there is stuff there that we just haven't discovered yet. Who knows? But like, yeah, I just feel like it's again, you just have like just a few little bit of breadcrumbs or something that you can get just to be like, okay, I think it's this, or oh well, no, I actually think it's this because of that, or whatever. But yeah, it really is like completely just like you're on your own, just figure it out.
Let's
Uh,
jump back. Let's jump back to the murder scene
Okay.
and the scenes that follow it, because I think these are incredibly well done. I love the wide shot of him sitting in the chair, and we can see
Mm,
her walking in with the knife, like from a good distance.
yeah.
And it's one of the things that I love in horror is you don't just always quickly reveal something. You let it build in the
Yeah.
background. Let the viewer see it before the other characters do. I love when movies do that sometimes because it really is effective.
Yeah.
And the way she just sort of casually walks up and stabs him in the same shot, it doesn't cut. It cuts after the first stab, but it doesn't cut for the first one.
Yeah.
She just walks up and stabs him in the same shot, and I really like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people don't do stuff like this because it's so much more unsettling than like it almost feels like more real as opposed to like if you're cutting all over the place, if the person stops and starts talking while the it cuts to the person looking at it and stuff. It's not like that at all. It's just like him just there and she just walking up to him just like it doesn't even look like there's a ton of force into it. It's just like she just kind of like puts it right in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big sharp knife. Doesn't really need that
Yeah.
much pressure to go in. So,
But yeah,
it just worked really effectively. And then when he's lying on the ground, and it's after he's done the whole speaking thing, because she stabs him a few times and he's still
yeah,
not dead. And then she just starts stabbing him really, and this is when it gets really frantic with editing. And this is the
yeah,
great thing. This is why it works, is because it's been so slow paced up to that point that when she starts going really fast and it starts quickly cutting, and it
yeah.
matches the blade movement, and it looks like she's maybe stabbing him even in the face because it's going
Face,
so
yeah.
quick. It's just like, oh man, this is brutal. And I'm like, oh, and I like this the thematic touch as well, that he jokes before that everyone in the city assumes you're a maniac, as if he's the one that should be
Oh yeah,
seen as dangerous, and then of course she ends up, and it subverts that, and she's the complete and utter psycho that's going to kill him.
yeah,
Um, Another jolting moments, because it happens twice. Because the second time's after this is when it just cuts to her in the shower, and she's
Yeah.
naked, and it's very like unsettling nudity. Partly because she's just staring right at the camera, as if she wants to
Yeah.
kill you. But um,
Oh, I also like this is like a weird thing, but the drain they had in the shower,
so yeah, it
it,
wasn't normal. It looked kind of
it looked like it was
funky.
broken.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just something about it that's just like a little off. That it was like a cool, nice touch.
Another bit of imagery I liked. Obviously, it didn't actually happen, but when
On the
she
body,
dreams that he gets back up,
yeah,
I loved that he had the bag in his head. I thought that was a fantastic looking
yeah,
image. It looked really, really creepy.
yeah. It almost like seemed like something like almost kind of like from Silent Hill or something. Just kind of the way he was
Yeah,
moving, very like herky jerky, kind of.
Silent Hill. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I just I kind of want a serial killer now that just wears like a black plastic bag over his head.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Jason's got the potato sack in
Mhm.
Friday the 13th Part 2, but just like a plastic bag. Because it's
It's
actually
gonna be
really
like
creepy.
it's like when you were a kid and you were playing and like they warned you not to put a bag over your head. Maybe this
Mm.
kid dies from that and comes back
He's a
as
serial
a
killer.
killer. Baghead,
Baghead.
yeah,
Bagman.
baguette.
No, that's the female spin off, Tim.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I like that. Just
But
stabs people with a very sharp baguette.
Bagman and Baguette. Oh, that's so good. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? I'm trying to think if there's any little small moments, because there was a lot of nice little cuts, and the first time
What?
the metal music came in was really jarring,
Yeah.
and it cut to like chapter 5 demons. Like holy shit, that was like really weird when that came in, because the music had all been a very specific style up until that point.
Mhm.
There was one scene as well. I can't remember if it was just before the murder or after the murder, but where it almost went kind of synthy as well,
Yeah.
which again was weird because it was mostly strings with a little bit of piano. But I really liked the music actually. I thought the music added a lot to the film.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I usually don't. I'm not like a big fan of metal, but I thought it was used really cool in this movie, just because it was so jarring from the, complete like opposite of what it's been up until then. Um, let me ask you this:
Mm.
Do you think, let me ask you, what time period do you think this took place in?
Oh, the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt like the 60s to me.
Okay.
Where they were dressed, the phone that she was, answering. It definitely wasn't present day. This was not
Well,
2016.
see, the thing is, I was thinking it kind of was present day, but I just thought like maybe it's kind of like a hipstery kind of like area of uptown New York, because like yeah, like the stuff she was wearing was certainly had like kind of a 60s like look to it, but I can definitely see it as being like something like a hipster might wear or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I kind of like that about it though, that it kind of existed in this like um almost timeless kind of
I
place.
th-
Like it didn't really specifically seem like one specific time period to me.
it felt the 60s to me, partly because of the way they were dressed, partly the phone and
Mhm.
like you never see any modern technology. Also, the just the way it's shot, the black and white, the aspect ratio, all of it felt like it
Yeah.
was. It even looked like it was made in the 60s.
Mhm.
So credit there for the distinct look. So, um, I would argue that It Follows was a lot more like what you're saying, where you can't quite place the time.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like the 80s, but then there's this weird like e-reader that she's using at one point, and it's like,
Yeah.
is this present day? All the TVs are CRTs, but she's got this e-reader. It's weird, and I like that about that movie.
Yeah.
But this one felt very, very 60s to me. But um,
I don't know, something about like they not like it didn't happen very often, but for some reason when they went outside, it didn't. No, it just didn't feel like the
because even
'60s New York to me. But I mean, they're not even really outside for very long.
Nah, and it's all close-ups of them just walking in the
Yeah.
street anyway. And I feel like when they showed the skyline, I mean, I don't know my New York skyline enough to place it in time, but it
Yeah.
felt like the 60s.
Yeah.
Just because this is a really weird thing to say, but I mean, this could be present day, but because the World Trade Center wasn't there and they were built in the 70s, for me that confirmed it was the 60s. Even though technically,
Mm.
I know obviously they're not there anymore, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it felt like pre that.
I don't know. Definitely, I can see that.
Um, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know New York skyline enough to recognize other buildings that wouldn't be there in the 60s, but are there now.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just like kind of like stuff in it that I thought like I don't know the way the old lady that owned the house or whatever, like the way she talked, I was kind of like, oh, like what time period is she from? And then I was kind of like, oh, I could see her being from something like the 60s or 70s, or I don't know if she's just one of those kind of like rich Manhattanites or something that just kind of, you know, like I can see someone in present day or, you know, in the 2000s or something like talking like that because they're rich and thinks that's how you're supposed to talk or something. I don't know, but just interesting something I was thinking about.
Of course, after the titles at the end, we get another scene, a little epilogue scene of the next caretaker being hired.
Oh yeah,
In the same way that Darling was hired at the start of the film.
yeah, and so that was like another thing too that I was thinking about, like with like the cyclical nature of the house. If it, you know, is this a? I mean, I guess obviously we don't know anything about this woman, but
No, we don't. No,
yeah,
but the question is she already crazy? Is she attracted to her because she's crazy, or is the house going to make her crazy?
yeah,
So, no, I really like this. I like this a lot actually. I would put this as one of the better movies I've seen this year.
one tiny little complaint I have is I thought everyone was like a pretty good actor, but for some reason the cops seemed off at the end. I,
Yeah,
I don't know. They just like looked a little weird and that they didn't fit. And then like I don't know, the one cop would just have like this kind of like really weird hair and mustache. I don't know.
um,
Again, it's not a huge part
yeah,
of the
it's
movie,
not.
but
Yeah, I feel like you're right. And I'm wondering if that's just because it's such a low budget movie, and they put a lot of effort into the main actors who are going to be there the whole time.
yeah,
That these small parts just kind of like, okay, we need to get whoever.
just like their friends or something.
Yeah, it probably is. I'm almost willing to bet you that the guy with the long hair is probably someone's friend. He doesn't
Yeah.
seem like he's a proper actor. No offense to him, but
Yeah.
he has that look about him. So no, I really really liked it. So I guess we should get to some ratings.
Okay.
How many? And we didn't really mention her cutting up the body, which I thought was also really brutally and wonderfully done.
Oh yeah.
How many body parts would you give this out of 10?
Um. Well, I feel like I'm liking it a little more after talking about it. So maybe some of the questions and stuff I had about it, maybe um, I just more wanted to discuss them and kind of get them out of my head as opposed to, just having them be as these kind of big blaring negatives on the movie. But I don't know. I still can't say that I totally loved it. So I think originally I was thinking like maybe like a 7. I think I'll bump it up to a 7.5. I don't know. Maybe at some point I might watch it again though. Could fluctuate a little bit, but for right now, I'll go with a 7.5 for me.
It could grow on you.
Yeah.
It could. Repeat viewings, I think, could actually put this up for a lot of people after they've already seen it, just because it's kind of one of those psychological movies where there is little tidbits here or there, and you can notice things. And
Yeah, and like some of the stuff that you brought up might paint it in a little more a better light for me if I watch it again. I'd be like, oh yeah, now I can kind of see that or something.
All right. I fuck it. I'm going 9.
Oh,
9 body parts out of 10. I'll let you decide which body part's missing. I
the dick.
I knew you were going to say that. But I just loved it. I was engrossed the whole time. Like, it's like sometimes when I'm watching a movie at home, I'll every so often I'll glance at the iPad just to see
Yeah.
what notifications are there. I didn't do that with this. I was completely locked into this movie right from the start. It grabbed my attention with its
Yeah, I mean,
style, and I was in the world for the 78 minutes or whatever it was that it was on. It completely
I'll,
had me.
yeah, I mean, I'll agree with that. I never like felt bored at any point.
Um, and sometimes I felt like I was smiling as creepily as she was in the movie because I was really liking little touches here and there, and I was intrigued the entire time. I was constantly trying to like wrap my head around what was going on in the best way possible. So no, I wholeheartedly recommend it. Um, just one final point, and I'll mention it's not about the film itself. I am really intrigued by this director now, and he did a film called Pod, which has a very low rate in IMDb, but then again, so does this. So that's got the same actress in it, and it's about a like family in like a not a ski lodge, but out like in the winter, a winter cabin or whatever, and I think it's an intervention, but there's like it's like a sci-fi thriller because like like an alien pods in the woods or something like that, and I'm intrigued. Based on this, I'm curious what he does with that. So
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I would
This is one that's already out.
yeah this is it's actually
Okay.
listed as 2015 as well, so he works fast. Because this movie I did quickly read that was shot in 12 days.
Okay.
So the guy makes low budget like really low budget movies, but
Yeah.
given that this is better than like mainstream horror right now. Like all the good horror movies, like even It Follows, which is great, and I loved It
Yeah.
Follows. Is not like a mainstream big budget, studio film. It's a low budget movie that's got
Oh
funding from
yeah.
here and else and everywhere.
I mean, I would say like I think the last 2 years we've been getting a lot of really good horror movies, but they all have been really independent. I mean, It Follows, The
Yeah,
Witch, The Invitation, like
yeah, almost all of them. I mean to put it in comparison, I mean right now in theaters is a Friend Request, which looks like absolute garbage. We will cover that at some point. We're not going to the cinema to see it, but when it's
like
out in home release, we'll brave the waters. The Forest was a studio horror film, so and then all the indie stuff is mostly tickling my fancy. It's getting that itch.
yeah.
It's getting that itch. We're having a good run of it. So yeah, that's Darling. Liked it a lot. So let us know what you thought of the film. If you're on YouTube, you'll go into the comments below. Give us your theories. What do you think was in the room? Did you was it all in her head? Was it Satan and demons making her do this? Like, was it ghosts, or was it just her being crazy? Let us know what you think.
It's an old Sega Dreamcast.
What?
I don't know.
What?
Or she just like she just opens the door and there's a TV with a Dreamcast hooked up, playing Shenmue. She just starts freaking out.
Or it's a TV and there's like, God, it's the Green Inferno just playing on a TV, and she's like, "Oh God, no!"
I
Shudder.
don't blame her for doing what she did if that was the case.
Shudder the thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or you can tweet at us at mailed_fuzz. You can email us mailedfuzz@gmail.com. But yeah, Tim, where can people get their teachings if they want to find the professor elsewhere?
I can any social media thing is at Tim Vargulish, and you can check out my comic book stuff at facebook.com/goatmancomics.
Cool. You can find me on social media at Wibble89. Help out the show by liking, subscribing, and 5-starring on iTunes, and thumbs up, and whatever else people do on any of these services where you find this show. It helps us out a lot. Shares on Twitter, all that jazz, because the professor's got to eat.
That's true.
Teacher salary is not what it used to be. So, thanks very much for being with us, guys. Keep watching scary movies. We'll see you next week.